Hello, fictional. Welcome to the What If Issei. Today we are gonna see what if Issei was born into a noble devil family. Part 5. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. I stride across campus angrily, Rainer and Asia following behind me. I get that you're pissed, Rainer says, hurrying to catch up to me, but you can't let them get into your head. Relax, Ray. The fight isn't until the end of the day, I've got plenty of time to cool down. Besides, if anybody is getting in anybody's head, I'm getting in theirs. I'm confused, Asia says from behind us, what do you mean? Sorry, Asia, no time. You'll see after school, but we shouldn't be any later than we already are. The three of us walk the rest of the way in relative silence, though the teacher is rather displeased when we all get to class late at once. Hyoudou, I trust that your reason for being late to my class is nothing but the epitome of virtue. My apologies, sensei, I say, bowing an apology, but the three of us were summoned for an emergency club meeting. Otherwise, we have no excuse. Well, he says, I suppose that I can't fault you if it was official business, though I'd recommend that you not allow this to become a regular occurrence. Of course, sensei. The three of us bow, Asia being a little slow to catch on, and move to take our seats. Through the entire ordeal, I can feel Murayama's eyes on me. I suppose I'll have to talk to her about keeping a low profile at some point. As per usual, the first part of the day drags on, though I expect the lunch break to be rather interesting, seeing as Murayama still needs to be acclimated. The teacher's lecturing the class on cellular division, but I can't really pay attention so I look out the window. As I'm staring into the courtyard, I see Kiba coming through the main gate of the school. It's rather odd, though, why would he have been outside at a time like this? The teacher shouts, standing right next to my desk. Did your little nap help you understand the course material? Nap? Oh no, sensei. I say, I was just thinking about the course taught, it is very interesting, you see. Oh? Do elaborate. Well, the entire process of cellular division could be considered one of the most important biological functions ever to occur, but that itself is rather obvious. I was thinking more along the lines of artificially inducing cellular replication, though forcing a mutation during the process in order to create a new type of cell. Of course, this is just a simple thought, after all, it'd be rather hard to find a way to mutate a cell during fission without causing terrible damage, seeing as how it would cause one of the new cells to be incomplete, which has the potential to even be fatal to the cell. Very interesting thought, Hyoudou. Though I recommend that you save such thought for after the lesson. Yes, sensei. Continuing on, he says, walking towards the front of the room. Nice save. Ray whispers to me from behind. Thanks, I was just pulling stuff out of my ass at the end. She snickers, and I turn back to looking out the window. Though this time, I look back at the teacher every few seconds to divert suspicion. The lunch bell rings, granting me, as well as the rest of the class, a brief respite from the day's lessons. I walk over to Murayama's desk. Murayama-san, do you think we could talk for a bit? The students around her desk look surprised and begin to giggle amongst themselves. Sure. What did you want to talk about, Issei-kun? At her saying this, the others begin to speculate wildly. Did she just call him by his first name? I know. Do you think they're going out? No. She hasn't said anything yet, he might still be open. Actually, I say, I was hoping that we might be able to do it in private. Oh, sure. She gets up and follows me out the door. As we leave, I can hear the class going absolutely crazy. Amano-san, hurry up, she might take him away from you. That lucky bastard. It isn't enough that he's got Asia, now he's going after Murayama too. Before I can hear any more, the two of us exit the room. So, what did you want to talk about? A couple of things, actually. I say, beginning to pace. First, and most important, is that until I say otherwise, you need to be on your guard at all times. Those two from this morning are from the church, and they're hunting down some stolen property. And how do I play into all of this? As of last night, you're involved with me, and under my protection. The church and devils don't get along, and some of the more zealous followers will kill somebody for even being associated with a devil. Until they leave, I'll have one of my subordinates with you at all times. I reach into my back pocket and pull out a slip of paper that I carry with me at all times. This, I say as I give her the paper, is a magic circle. Should anything happen, take out this piece of paper and ask for help. I, as well as my subordinates, will receive the signal and come to your aid immediately. Do you think that something bad could happen? Murayama-san, I believe in preparing for the worst, so that way you're not caught off guard if it happens. The odds of your getting involved are slim, but they do exist. And as long as there is even a minute chance of you being harmed, it is my duty to prepare adequately. I guess I understand that. Good. Now, on to the second thing. You need to calm down. Remember. Rias and I aren't the only two supernaturals here. You've been sneaking glances at me all day, and that's bound to draw attention. I'm sorry I'm being a bother. she says, slightly annoyed. It doesn't bother me at all, I reply, but it increases the chance of us being found out. Trust me, I don't mind you knowing at all, I just don't want you to get hurt. Understand? She nods. Good, then let's go back to class, I'm absolutely famished. The two of us return to class and Murayama is immediately swarmed by the gossipmongers who press her for every detail. While they carry on, I return to my seat and pull my lunch out of my bag. You really should be more careful with her. Rainer says as she comes up to me. Oh, come on Ray. I like her, she's got a kind of spark that's kind of hard to find these days. That's not what I meant. What? You're going out with Hyoudou-kun, one of the gossipers shouts, sparking a wildfire of muttering throughout the classroom. That's what I meant. Ray says tiredly. Fuko-chan, I was kidding. Murayama says quickly. Still worried about the rumors, Asia walks over to Rainer and I, looking rather worried. Ai-san. Is that true? No. I shout quickly, she said so herself, she's just making a joke. Oh? Kiryu, the girl with the twin braids and glasses, asks, drawn over by our conversation, then what were you two talking about before? We're dying to know. Oh, that. I reply loudly so as the entire class can't hear, I found her wallet yesterday on my way home. I couldn't return it before school, so I decided to give it to her during lunch. From the look on her face, the girl still has her doubts about my story. But she decides to play along for now. Thankfully, the rest of the class doesn't share her skepticism and believes the lie without any suspicion. I do, she says, leaning in close, I don't know what kind of shit you're pulling, but I'll play along for now. But I want information. What? I say irritated, you have a problem. I'm on to you, Hyoudou. She mutters, walking towards the horde of gossipers. Well, that was interesting. I say sarcastically. That's one way to put it. Ray chuckles to herself. Watch it, Ice. She's on to you. She says, waving her hands and mocking the girl. Rainer-san, I think that's mean. Asia says, defending her classmate. I guess she has a point there, I say. Kiryu-san provided us with some valuable feedback. Apparently our ruse isn't good enough for more scrutinizing individuals. So, what do you think we should do? Obviously, we need to work on our acting. Short of neutralizing her, there's nothing else we can do about it. Well then, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Oh, we're almost out of time, Asia-chan, we should get back to our seats. Rainer sits back down behind me, while Asia crosses the classroom and takes her seat. The modern literature teacher comes in, calls the class to order, and immediately begins to lecture. Nothing important happens during class, but that's just standard for a human school. However, staring out the window, I see Kiba leaving the campus yet again. I can't see his face, but his shoulders are hunched forwards and his hands are clenched into fists at his sides. Obviously, he's angry about something. About half an hour before school ends, Kiba walks back through the courtyard towards the old school buildings. His uniform shirt, normally a pristine white and immaculately tucked in, is now slightly roughed up and there are small stains on the bottom hem of his shirt. Some are the dark maroon color denoting blood, while others appear to just be dirt and grime. What the hell could he have been doing? The bell rings and Asia, Rainer, and I immediately leave for the clubroom. When we arrive, Kiba is standing in the back corner while the two exorcists are sitting on the couch. Well then, I suppose none of you want to back down? I say, moving over beside Ria's desk. All three of them shake their heads. Didn't think so. We'll wait for the others to arrive in the school to clear out a bit and then we'll get going. I just want to make this clear. No matter the outcome of this battle, I won't hold it against you as long as you abide by the rules. And us as well. Zenovius says. While you may be devils, we will attempt to treat you as though you were equals. Rainer growls angrily and steps forwards. In an attempt to avoid unnecessary violence, I cut in front of her and sit down on the couch opposite the exorcists. As charming as ever, Ms. Korda. However, may I request that you abstain from such harsh language. You'll find that we will be nothing but hospitable to you, and I request that you return the favor. Hospitable? We're about to engage in a brawl. Ms. Korda, you have been offered multiple chances to drop out. You've denied every chance. This brawl, as you put it, was not spontaneous, nor was it entirely our fault. It was a mutually agreed method to resolve some conflict. The difference between our sparring match and a brawl is that the entire circumstance is under strict regulation. This is not an act of senseless violence, it's just a way to settle a dispute and display physical ability at the same time. That seems to have shut her up. I sit down on the couch and the others enter the room about a minute later. Rias takes her seat at the desk with a Keno standing behind her. Koneko immediately walks over to me and sits on my lap, pulling a small bag of candy out of her bag and offering me a piece. I gratefully accept it, opening the wrapping and popping it into my mouth, nearly gagging as soon as it enters my mouth. I've never really had too much of a problem with sweets, but these are pushing it. Instead of tasting a standard candy flavor, there's an explosion of what tastes like pure sugar in my mouth. It appears I've found my upper limit. I choke down the candy, though I'm forced to turn Koneko down when she offers me another piece. Well then, I say, now that everybody's arrived, we just need to wait for the school to clear out a bit. It shouldn't take more than half an hour. From what I understand, the clubs were requested not to meet today. The two exorcists nod, and we begin to wait. Akeno brings out a tray of tea, offering a cup to everybody in the room. Other than that, everybody in the room is quiet. Rias sits at her desk and files paperwork, the exorcists sit quietly, Kiba sulks in the corner, and other girls all stand by the window, watching for when the courtyard is clear. About 15 minutes later, Middle calls out to us. It looks like everybody's left, we're good to go. Kiba, the exorcists, and I all stand on opposite sides of the small field in front of the old school building. Rias and the others all stand off to the side of the field, out of the way so as to avoid getting hurt. Exorcists, I call out, this is your last chance. Are you going to resign? We will if you do. Zenobia snaps back. I'll take that as a no. Rias, can I count on you to call the match? Yes. She responds, to reiterate the rules of the match. The match will to be to first blood only, any deliberate attacks after first blood will be treated as an act of aggression. In order to avoid severe injury, there will be no use of holy weaponry. Should the match be called, the agreements made prior to the match must be upheld. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All four of us shake our heads. Then let the match commence. She shouts, stepping back and giving us space. Kiba. I shout, jumping back, keep them off me and buy me some time. He nods, summons a sword, and leaps forwards and slashes at Zenobia. I begin chanting the words for a spell, causing a large magic circle to appear around me and glow blue. As I chant, runes write themselves around and inside the circle. With the completion of each rune, the circle pulses bright blue and then glows slightly brighter than it was before. I'm unable to watch Kiba fight, seeing as the spell requires all of my concentration, but I can hear him attacking the exorcists and forcing them back. When I finish casting my first spell, magic energy swirls around my hand and cause my entire body to be enshrouded in blue light. The sheer power of the magic pulsing through my body causes my eyes to glow brilliant cobalt, the excess power flowing out appearing similar to flames, though they don't actually generate heat. Kiba. Get in the circle, quick. I shout, causing him to kick Zenobia in the stomach and jump back behind me. Good. I say, looking at him briefly. This is where the fun begins. I concentrate all of the magical power surging through me into my right hand, the pure power it exudes causes my hand to tingle and feel rather hot. Mind Scourge. I shout as I slam my hand into the ground. The flame that was gathered around my hand explodes out in a ring around me, held at bay by the magic circle. The exorcists, though, aren't as fortunate. The magic of the spell completely engulfs them, covering them in blue flame and glowing bright blue as the magic seeps into their minds. Once the spell has taken effect, the magical energy disperses, but both of the exorcists seem to be suffering from the spell. Their skin is slightly tinted blue, not enough to be obvious, but it is noticeable. The giveaway is their eyes, though. Instead of their normal color, both girls' eyes, from the pupils all the way to the sclera, are solid blue. Irina is the first one to break. She lets out a blood-curdling screech, pulling a string off her arm and swinging it around. Zenobia. Zenobia, are you here? The string she's swinging around shimmers and morphs into a katana. Irina. What's going on? What's that? She cries before she breaks as well. Zenobia draws her sword and begins to hack madly at the illusions assaulting her mind. Though to the bystanders, it merely looks like the two of them are swinging blindly at the air. The two of them scream in terror as they hack and slash at air, the spell I cast forcing them to believe that they're under attack by creatures not even present in their worst nightmares. Irina begins to tire out and resorts to backpedaling while still slashing her sword wildly in front of her. Meanwhile, Zenobia is taking a more direct approach, swinging her sword with every ounce of her strength, a look of sheer horror and desperation on her face. Issei, what did you do? Kiba calls out from behind me. Irina freezes, her head snapping up as she homes in on the source of the sound. Kiba. Not another one. She screams before winding up and throwing her sword straight at him. Not wanting him to be hurt, I dive in front of him and block the sword, using my right hand to absorb the impact of the blow. The sword pierces through my hand, but it doesn't feel quite right. Instead of the pain I should be feeling now, I can't feel anything at all. In fact, it feels as if my very life force is being sucked out through the sword. I crumple to the ground, unconscious, finally realizing that I've been stabbed by a holy sword. Surprisingly, I'm not dead. Also surprisingly, I'm lying in one of the spare beds in the club room. Unsurprisingly, Koneko, Asia, Rainer, and Rias are all in the bed with me. Unsurprisingly, they're all naked. I try to move, but I find that doing so sends massive bolt of pain through my entire body. I look to find my hand, but it's not there. Instead, my entire right arm now ends immediately below the elbow. Apparently, they cut it off to save my life, albeit barely. I let out a loud groan, waking all of the girls in the bed. Issei. They shout in unison. Me. I reply. What the hell happened? The sword that stabbed you was an Excalibur fragment. Rias says, sounding absolutely terrified. It's absolutely amazing that you're still alive, a clean stab like that should have killed you instantly. You can thank me for that. Drake says, talking from my other arm. I held off the energy as long as I could, but it was thanks to the knight's fast action that you only lost your hand. Shit, really? I ask. He's right. Rias replies, the moment you collapsed, Kiba stepped in and cut your arm off. If he didn't, you unquestionably would have died. Good to know. So, where is he? He and the exorcists are out looking for the other fragments. They're still working with them, I shout, causing myself an immense amount of pain. We didn't have a choice. Raynor says. You've been out for almost a week and we don't have enough firepower to take on Kakabiel and his goons on our own. Our only hope was to partner up and buy time until either you woke up or middled and Calwarner managed to get help. Help? Where did they go? I ask. I sent them to ask for aid from Azazel Sama and the other fallen. They're not going to help. I say. And how do you know that? Rias asks angrily. Because I was the one Azazel Sama expected to stop them. But now everyone thinks you're dying. If the one sent to take care of it, it's only given that Azazel Sama would take care of the situation. Maybe, but I wouldn't bet on it. I say. Senpai, Koneko says, sitting up, we'll be fine. Yeah, we will. But I think I'm going to have to sit this one out. There's not much I can do when I'm like this. What's wrong? They all ask. Well, aside from the obvious, I say, nodding my head towards my stump arm, I might still be under the influence of light poisoning. Getting ran through by an Excalibur probably left a lasting impact on me. I'll likely be a lot weaker for a long time, and I'm likely going to run into some health troubles for a really long time. Is there anything that you can do? Raynor asks. Ray, I was supposed to die. The fact that I'm walking off just sans arm and with a little light poisoning is already too much to ask for. Unless I do something really stupid, this won't kill me. It's just going to be an inconvenience for a really long time. I guess you're right. Now, if you don't mind, I need to rest. I'm going back to sleep. True to form, the light running through my system is keeping me on edge. It's not so bad to the point where it's painful, it's more like a dull buzzing I can always feel but can't do anything about. The best way to describe it is like a mosquito I can't catch, it's always buzzing around, biting me and slowly picking away at me. I can't stop it, but it's not exactly unbearable, just irritating. After laying in bed for about an hour, I sit up and head into the bathroom. Something on your mind? Drake asks. I was just thinking. I reply mentally, not wanting to wake up the girl sleeping in my bed. What about? We're going to die, aren't we? Everyone dies, partner. But we're going to die soon. What makes you think that? Drake, be real. I'm missing an arm that you can't grow back for who knows why, and I'm not even at full combat output anymore because of the poison. I can feel it sapping my magic away. And you think because of that you're going to die. As much as I like to believe in Rias and the others, they don't stand a chance against Kakabiel. He can wipe the floor with them without even raising a finger. And yet here I am, completely unable to do anything to help them. Kid, I want you to pay attention, because I'm only going to say this once. You are quite possibly one of the most capable hosts that I've ever had. I have been present for the rise and fall of empires, I've aided my past hosts in razing entire civilizations to the ground, I've granted my power to men who stood unparalleled on the field of battle. And yet do you know why I see you as superior? Because you think lying is going to make me feel better. No, you fool. It is because no matter how mighty my past hosts may have been, they were all unable to adapt the way you can. They had no sense of rationality or cunning about them. They may have had superior strength, but that's all they had. You may not be the strongest in terms of physical power, but I have no doubt that you are able to best any mortal who has ever hosted me through your wit and sheer tenacity. What are you talking about? I have been with you for 20 years, and all that time I noticed that you always think first. You wait to move, you analyze your situation and surroundings before you act. You always organize the setting to be optimal for you. Most of my previous hosts were nothing but brash warriors who left the thinking to others. Now, do you honestly believe that something as minor as this will be your downfall? Minor? I'm a devil, you idiot. Light might not be much of anything to dragons, but to me, it's fatal. But you are also a dragon. Remember, partner, that the two of us are one entity. Although we have different minds, our bodies are as one. You may not have the full protection of dragon skin, but you are also not so weak as a mere devil. But for some reason, this light, which shouldn't be a big deal if you're right, is keeping me from regenerating, not to mention that it's slowly killing me. The reason you can't regenerate is because I'm holding the poison's advance at bay. If you can halt its progression, I would be able to slowly expel it from your system and then regrow your arm. Either way, it still won't regrow, right? Not for a short while. But if you find a way to stop the poison, you will not have to worry about losing any more of your power. It may be a slow process, but you will eventually be able to be whole again. And how long do you think this'll take? Once you find something to permanently halt the spreading, your arm should be fully regrown in about a year's time. A year. Be thankful. Even as slowed down as it is, the poison still advanced incredibly quickly. I'm not well equipped to detoxify, so I will not be able to perform this task as well as I would others. And how do you suggest we go about stopping the spread, and what I'll do when I'm down an arm? Use your head. With training, your bishop might be able to cure you, or you could find a superior healing source. But Asia only knows the basics, there's no way that she'd be able to get rid of light poisoning without training. I suppose you're right. However, I think you should head back to hell for the time being. The Greek should be able to work something out with your arm. But you know how she gets. Kid, you can't afford to be picky in times like this. Either go ask her for help or learn to live without an arm. I sigh, conceding the argument to him. He is right, though. I could probably go see Andromeda about my arm. The one thing I'm worried about is that she and I have sort of a history. The two of us met a little over 2 years ago, right after I left working for the Grimoires. I was considering some leads that lead me to Greece and decided to spend the night in Athens. The problem with Greece, by the way, is the gods. Well, one god. Hades. See, Hades isn't a big fan of other mythological groups, so he tends to take drastic measures against pretty much everybody. In Greece, especially, I had to be on my toes all the time, there was no telling when one of his goons would try to take me out. As I was looking around for a cheap place to stay, I noticed some smoke rising near to where I was. Being the kind of guy I am, I went over to investigate the source. One of the smaller buildings was on fire, but the fire itself seemed a little odd. Instead of the standard flame colors and patterns, this fire was in a shen gray and seemed to spread rather slowly for an unplanned burn. Instead of rapidly consuming the building, it would branch out very slowly, only about a half a foot a second, and then retract back immediately. Obviously, it was something supernatural. The question was, what? Looking around for anybody in the streets, I heard some screaming from inside the building. The fire had reached a 4th floor window and was beginning to burn even brighter. Shadows gathered at the base of the building and began to climb up the walls. Greg, those are shades. I exclaimed, what the hell are Hades' forces doing burning down a building? I don't know, but it can't be good. I suggest you find out what's going on. He replied. I crouched down low and leaped to the sill of a 3rd floor window, intercepting the shade's ascent. As I landed, I scattered a fire across the wall, preventing the ghouls from moving any further. While they hissed angrily, I leaped up into the burning part of the building. Hello? I called out, is anybody in here? Looking around, I saw the gray fire spreading towards one of the rooms in the back of the apartment. Coming from the same direction was the sounds of frantic screaming and panicking. Help. One of the voices called out, distinctly female and sounding rather young. I'm on my way. I call, just stand away from the door and cover your mouths. I walked towards the closed door, the fire feeling slightly warm as I walked through it, another sign that it's supernatural. I wouldn't have felt a thing if the flame was natural. Standing in front of the door, I leaned back and delivered a powerful kick right above the handle, causing the door to fly open and slam into the wall. There were 4 people in the room, which was apparently some sort of large closet. The older 2 of the group were obviously dead, a man with severe burns all over his body, and a woman who appeared to have succumbed to the smoke. The other 2, both girls, were in rough shape. The older of the 2 is holding the other close to her. Please, help us. She shouts. I nod, picking the 2 of them up over my shoulder and walking over to the wall. Wait. The older one shouted, my parents, you have to save my parents. I kicked down the wall, exposing the alleyway behind the building. Kid, there's nothing left to save. I'm sorry, but we have to get you 2 out of here. Before she could say anything, I jumped out the window, expanding my wings and flying into the foothills surrounding the city. As I flew away, the older of the 2 pounded on my back. Turn around right now. She screamed, we have to go back and save them. The other one was laying limp over my shoulder, which was rather concerning. I stopped flying and hovered in the air. Kid, I shouted, you've got a choice. Go back for your dead parents and we all die, or just let it be, and we just might be able to save your sister. What do you mean? What's wrong with Helena? She stopped hitting me, thankfully, I was about to drop her. Look at her, kid. She breathed too much of that shit in, it's doing a real number on her lungs right now. If you want her to live, we've got to get to a hospital, and fast. Hein, just save her. Please. Now that's more like it. I grumbled to myself, resuming flight towards the outskirts of the city. Where are you going? There's a hospital right beneath us. Judging by you're not freaking out about my flying, you're not new to magic, right? That doesn't answer my question. I'll take that as a yes. That fire wasn't natural, anything wrong with her can't be treated at a human hospital. Our only option is to go to hell. Hell. Where I'm from. Trust me. If anyone can help your sister, my people can. We landed in a cave and I set the two girls down on the ground. Helena, the younger one, didn't move in the slightest, which was rather unsettling. Kid, stand next to your sister and watch the entrance. I don't want any of Hades's goons barging in here while I work on the teleport. Hades, what do you mean? Not important, just watch the entrance. I began to draw the teleportation circle and right as I finished, they shouted, something's here. You're too late. I shouted at the ghouls in the mouth of the cave, tell your boss that Hyoudou says hi. There was a flash of light and we teleported to hell. Andromeda Myron has been working for me ever since. Helena, her sister, is still a hospital in my territory and the doctors believe that she's under some sort of curse. Since we met, we've been on rather uncertain terms, partially because of her sister and because I think she blames me for the death of her parents. I don't get it, I showed up after they died, but regardless, Drake was right when he said she could help me out. Shaking my head clear, I walk back into my bedroom, well, it's more of a stumble. Rias is still lying in the bed, but she's wide awake and staring at the door. Issei, are you okay? She whispers, you were in there for a while. I've been thinking. I reply, carefully climbing back into the bed, it'd be bad if I woke any of the others up. About what? Becabial. Issei, you need to calm down. Azazel-sama will come, and even if he doesn't, Ani-sama will. Rias, that's wishful thinking. If they don't come, then we're all on our own, and I'm pretty much useless without my arm. Then we'll take him on alone. You all don't stand a chance. Excuse me. Rias, you know as much as I do that a bunch of teenagers won't be able to take down a 10-wing, no matter how hard you all believe in yourself, no matter how hard you try, he just overpowers you. Then what do you suggest we do about it? If nobody shows up, do we just lie down and accept it? Just die? No. You stall to the best of your ability. Stall? What do you mean? I've got a plan, but it requires me being gone for a little while, not long, only about 2 days. All you need to do is keep him at bay until I get back. Where are you going? I'm going to go home. Home? I'm going to see Andromeda about the situation with my arm and try to raise as much of an army as I can. I understand, I guess. You know that my Ani-sama will come to help if you ask, right? Of course, he's going to be one of my first stops. I get back off the bed, still moving carefully so as not to wake the others. I walk over to my closet and throw on a jacket, the sleeve covering my missing arm. Now, time is of the essence, so I need to leave. I say, preparing a teleportation circle. Stay safe. I want you to keep something in mind, when I said stall, I don't mean pick a fight. If Kakabiel even looks at you, you're as good as dead. Our intel says that he's got priests and exorcists all over the place, do whatever you need to do to take them down, try and peck at his forces so he can't launch a full assault. Whatever you do, don't get yourself killed. Issei, before you go, before I can hear what she says, I teleport away. One flash of light later, I'm standing in front of a rather large complex of buildings, the center of the Andromeda family's business operations. I walk through the door, looking at the receptionist. My lord. He exclaims, jumping up and bowing, what may I do for you today? I'll be in my office, would you please tell Andromeda Myron to meet me there as fast as she can? Of course, my lord. It would be my pleasure. Thank you. I walk towards the elevators, as I do, I stumble slightly, causing my jacket to slide off my shoulder, revealing my stub of an arm. Lord Hyoudou. The receptionist shouts, you're hurt. Not a word about this to anyone, I say, pulling my jacket back over my shoulder, understood. He pales and nods. Good. Make sure Andromeda shows up soon. I step into the elevator and rocket up to the top floor office. Of course, in the underworld, elevators are completely and totally unnecessary, seeing as how everyone can teleport, but I just like the feel of an elevator in a business setting. It just feels right. The elevator gives a resounding ding as it arrives on the top floor of the building, my office. As the door opens, a woman is standing next to my desk, her arms crossed. Her dark black hair is gathered in a loose bundle that hangs down her back. She's about 5'7" and a far cry from the 17-year-old I saved back in Greece 2 years ago. Andromeda, I say, stepping out of the elevator, it's great to see you again. Cut the crap, Issei. Sean told me about your arm. What did you do? He got ran through with an Excalibur fragment. Drake says aloud. You did what, she shouts, running over to me and ripping off my jacket. She looks at my bandaged stump, sighing to herself. Do I even want to know how you pulled this off? She asks. I picked a fight with some exorcists, actually, I think you know them. The pair from Amsterdam. Those two? Small world, huh? That's what I'm saying. It was so weird to run into them again. Oh, you want to hear something funny? What? They actually thought that I was an angel. Can you believe it? An angel. Well, that certainly is funny. So, grit your teeth, this is going to hurt. I know rig, wait, what, I ask as she rips the bandage off of my arm. Son of a bitch. I shout, why the fuck didn't you tell me you were going to do that sooner? Let me just say, ripping a bandage off is not fun on its own. It's even less fun when that bandage has been bound to your skin by your dried blood. Well, she says, grinning sarcastically, I just couldn't bring myself to interrupt your fascinating story. Yeah, whatever. But seriously, why did you do that? I assume you want me to make you a prosthetic. I need to look at the wound so I can know what I'm working with. And you couldn't just say, hey, Issei, I need to look at your arm, would you mind my taking off your bandage in a way that won't rip out chunks of your skin? Oh, don't be such a wimp. You can take more than that and you know it. She says, walking around and measuring my arm. How long do you think it'll take? I should have it done by tonight. Why, you got a date or something? A war meeting, actually. Or? Lift your other arm. I do as she says. So, I'm curious, what exactly did you do to get yourself stabbed? I mind-scored the exorcists, and they started freaking out. One of them took this weird little shoelace thing off her arm, and then blammo. It's a sword, she threw it at a friend of mine, so I jumped in the way. I didn't really think it was any special Excalibur fragment, otherwise I would have let the bastard take the hit. Hold up, she says, 2 questions. You saw a shoelace turn into a sword, and you just thought it'd be a good idea to jump in front of it, oh, it can shapeshift, but it can't be any special kind of sword, I guess I'll just get stabbed in the arm. It's a great day to show off anyway, really I swear, you can be such a moron sometimes. In my defense, it was kind of an instinct thing, more spur of the moment action than planned strategy. Fair enough. Second. Mind Scourge. What does that even mean? And what the hell made you think that it was a good name? Oh, come on. It's Mind Scourge. That spell I finished researching a few months ago. The one where you make them hallucinate based on images pulled from their subconscious. Yeah, cool. Mind Scourge is a sucky name. So is Andromeda, but you don't hear me complaining. I quip back, feeling quite clever with myself. This feeling, however, is quite short-lived, as she apparently thinks that a fitting retaliation would be stabbing her finger into my arm stub. It hurts, a lot. Sorry. Consider the topic dropped. Good, there's more where that came from. So, what did you mean when you said you had a war meeting? Have you ever heard of Kakabiel? She nods, well, he's gone rogue. I'm meeting with IsseixOC soon to see about getting a strike force together. What about your arm? If you can get the prosthetic done in time, all I must worry about is a little poisoning, but I don't know any way to get rid of it right now. She backs away from me. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't the Phoenixes owe you a favor? No, just a peerage member. And I don't think a tier would do what I need anyway. Well, there's no harm in trying it out. I guess it can't really get much worse than this. Then would you do me a favor and call ahead and notify the Phoenix household I would like to have meeting with them? I'll get right on that. Thanks, I'll be going. Oh, before I leave. How's your sister doing? The smile she's held for the past few minutes disappears from her face. She's still down. She hasn't gotten any worse, but she's not getting any better. I'm worried. It's been 2 years and she still hasn't changed. The doctors say she's stable and it's all up to her now, but what if she doesn't wake up? What am I going to do without her? She starts to cry. Andromeda, look at me. I say, pulling her into a one-armed hug, everything's going to be fine. The doctors working with her are some of the best in the underworld, she's not going anywhere on you, I promise. I try to stroke her hair with my bad arm, but the nub doesn't allow me to. Thankfully, my awkwardness is enough to make her laugh, which is a good thing, I haven't seen her do it in a while. Look, I'm going to leave, but let me know the moment anything changes. Okay. She nods. I'll be back tonight, make sure that arm's ready. She nods, wiping away some of her tears. It'd be awfully bad if you come up short-handed. I say, stepping into the elevator. That was horrible. Just leave. She says in contempt. The Phoenix mansion is just as opulent as it was a few years ago, perhaps even more so today. When I arrive at the front gate, an entourage is waiting to escort me through the grounds to the main house. They offer to take my jacket for me, and it's rather difficult to come up with a reason why they can't. I'm feeling a little under the weather at the moment, I say, I'd rather keep it on for now, the warmth helps me feel better. The staff goes along with it, but it's plain as day that they don't believe me. As I walk through the grounds, the glares of contempt are easy to notice. I'm not complaining or anything, because I completely understand why, but it's still a little unsettling. Razor's younger sister, Ravel, I think it was, and the lord of the house are waiting for me at the front of the main house. Lord Phoenix, I say, bowing, thank you for agreeing to meet me on such short notice. When I bow, I hear the girl let out a small gasp, looking down, though, I see my jacket hasn't fallen off, so I don't really know what her deal is. It is a pleasure, Lord Hyoudou, Lord Phoenix replies, though I was surprised to hear you had such urgent business. Please, do come inside so we may discuss this further. I bow once again and proceed to enter the mansion. Lord Phoenix and his daughter lead me to a small room just off the entrance hall of the main house. Inside the room is a small desk, as well as a few chairs arranged around the room. Please, leave us. Lord Phoenix says to the servants who followed us, I'm sure that Lord Hyoudou would like this meeting to be conducted in private. The two servants bow and depart, and the three of us take seats in the room. So, Lord Hyoudou, what may I do for you today? The man asks. Straight to business, I see. I need to purchase a phoenix tear, but in a way that nobody else can find out about. Well, Lord Hyoudou, that's quite the tall order. Might I ask what you need it for? I'm afraid I'd rather not go into the details. I state evasively, but I will say that if you can help me, I would be immensely grateful. Well, Lord Hyoudou, I believe that can be arranged, but if you don't wish to talk, I find it rather concerning. Are you sure you don't wish to talk about it? I believe I might have the answer to that. Ravel, the girl, says. I was contacted by one of Lord Hyoudu's subordinates upon his arrival. I'm getting a sinking feeling that Andromeda might have spilled the beans. Apparently, Lord Hyoudou has been injured with a holy sword and is hoping that we may be of assistance in curing the remaining light poisoning. Light poisoning? Lord Phoenix exclaims, Lord Hyoudou, why did you not come sooner? And how are you still alive? Lord Phoenix, I'm afraid that I'm not at liberty to tell you that. But young Miss Ravel is correct. I am currently suffering from light poisoning, and the Phoenix house was the only option I could think of in terms of a possible solution, hence why I came to you. Well, Lord Hyoudou, I am not sure what help our tears will be to your current solution, Lord Phoenix says, but we will do what we can to help you. Thank you, sir. When do you believe that you'll have the tear ready? I have urgent matters to discuss with Sir IsseixOC and must be going soon. I understand. Luckily, there is a small stockpile of tears we have in the mansion for situations such as these. I do not have any qualms about using one of them to help you. Thank you, Lord Phoenix. The Andromeda clan is in your debt. Think nothing of it, consider this repaying you for teaching my son a much-needed lesson. Now, is that all you needed? Yes, sir. I'll be on my way now. Actually, Lord Hyoudou, Ravel says as I stand up, I was wondering if I may have a word with you before you depart. I don't see why you couldn't, I say. It's actually rather bizarre. I would have thought that she wouldn't want to have anything to do with me, seeing as how she's a member of her brother's peerage. Thank you. She says, bowing. Father, may Lord Hyoudou and I please have this conversation alone? I suppose that would only be fitting, seeing as what you two are likely to discuss. Apparently, I'm the only one who doesn't know what's going on, which is more than a little irritating. Lord Phoenix leaves the room, so now it's just Ravel and I. I get the feeling that your father knows more about what you're going to say than I do. I say, sitting back down and removing my jacket. Seconds go by and the girl says nothing. I assume she's staring at the stub where my arm once was. Is there a problem, Miss Phoenix? I ask, locking eyes with her and reaching for my jacket because I'm very busy and if you're just going to dawdle and waste my time, then I'd much rather be going. Wait, I'm sorry. She said, rushing over to keep me from donning my jacket, your injury simply came as a shock, I didn't mean anything by it. This kind of irritates me, she didn't do anything wrong, of course, but I'm getting unreasonably touchy for some reason, it happened earlier today, too. I'm not sure what's behind these weird mood swings, but if I'm to try and conduct business, I need to get them under control. What's the matter, partner? Is it your time of the month? Drake teases me. Cute. I snap back and I get a basic analysis on hormonal biochemistry. Or are you too busy cracking bad jokes? If you want to know what's wrong with your attitude, it's the light poisoning. You're on edge, tense. Add that to your already dazzling personality, and it's not too hard to see why you're a tad sensitive. Sensitive? What makes you say I'm sensitive? My point exactly. Now, I suggest you snap back to reality, because the girl seems to be rather confused. He's right, she's just staring at me. I don't know exactly how long the conversation took, time seems to flow a little differently when you're arguing with the voices in your head, but I don't think it could have been more than a few seconds. Lord Hyoudou, Ravel begins questioningly, are you alright? I'm fine, it's just the light. Everything's getting thrown out of balance, I just need a minute to get used to it. About that, you're the first devil to ever survive an encounter with an Excalibur fragment, the light poisoning you've got is likely much more potent than an average injury, I do not believe that a phoenix tear will be able to help you. I understand that, but I don't have any other options at this point, and I don't really think that things can get much worse for me. I don't understand what you mean. I'm down an arm, I've lost most of my magic, the dragon is too busy trying to keep me alive to do anything else, and I've got light spreading through my system, apparently at a higher potency than normal, if you're to be believed. There is literally nowhere to go but up. I suppose you have a point. Then you're agreeing to help supply me with tears. I cannot give you an unlimited number of tears for free, I'm afraid that you will have to buy tears beyond the first, so as to allow the family name to not be tarnished. I understand that completely, I'm just thankful that you're willing to help me in the first place. Now, on the topic of helping, you said there was something you wanted to talk about. Oh, well, yes, she begins to blush furiously. It's about the wager you made with Ani-sama, where he transfers a member of his peerage to you. Okay, I see where this is going. Frankly, I'm not that surprised. I'm sorry. He chose you, right? Honestly, it makes sense knowing him. Why give up one of the knockouts and concubines when the little sister is right there? It's completely in character for him. Unless it was you who asked to switch. I add the last part on as a little tease. If she's going to be forced to join up, why not have a little fun, right? What she shouts, turning beet red. Why would I ask to join you? It's not like I wanted to or anything. Sure, I say, but that's irrelevant at this point. If your brother paid attention, he'd know that you don't join me until I say, and I'm not ready for you yet, so you're going to have to be a free piece for a short while, until I can get this current matter sorted. I hope that's not too much of an inconvenience. Of course it isn't. She says, turning all the redder. I didn't want to join your peerage yet, anyway. Good, thank you for your understanding. I don't think that understanding is the right word, but I'll just go with it anyway. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a very important meeting with Lord IsseixOC. End of the here. So that's it for today's video guys. Before you go, just like the video and share it with your friends.